You are watching the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community. I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, John Paul Leck.
And together we are Rubric. That's right. How's every single one of you? We hope that you're still doing good, healthy, and third week of a quarantine. We're still at home, but thankfully we're both safe.
We gotta be here, Christian or Johnny Gargano, whoever, looking into the crowd. No end in
Where's
sight.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
Where's everybody?
Yeah.
But and we're just trying to bring best entertainment. We're all also trying to cheer up during this situation. We're gonna go through this, family. We've been putting a lot of content lately. A lot of stuff in the social media outlets, just so you guys know that we're still here. We're in good health. So, guys, Monday Night Raw, go home show for WrestleMania. Show that like we said before, it was tape. And some of the stuff we know that there was a lot of changes last minute. It was a really messy show, but they gave us Monday Night Raw, of course, and the Go Home show wasn't too bad. Promos were very, very good. I will say that.
Yeah. I thought the promos were extremely legit. Even Becky Lynch, her promo was it was all right. It really didn't hurt the match. Like I said, I'm not really going to get more excited or less excited for it at this point. But, The Undertaker had a great promo. Kevin Owens, great promo. Great promos on this show. Edge, fantastic promo. And then we had the matches. They showed 2 replays, which, okay. The replay of the women's main event at WrestleMania, I did not enjoy watching it then. I haven't watched it since until tonight. And I didn't enjoy it just as much tonight. Rey Mysterio and Lesnar was a Survivor Series, correct?
Survivor Series?
Yeah, that match was legit. But I was watching, I was watching old TNA wrestling, and it was a Dudley Boys match, and they keep doing the same spot, and the crowd chants same old shit, and that's when I watch a Brock Lesnar match. Same old shit. He kicks out of his opponent's finisher, catches him in an F5 and done.
And done.
It's okay. It's we're every time you see a Lesnar match, he's going to kick out, and it's going to be Kimura lock out of nowhere, or F5 and done. So if you take that and the actual matches that they showed replay and live, you take all them out and you just leave us with the promos. This was a legit Raw. But you had all that other stuff in there, and it was like filler, and it really just killed the show for me.
Just these matches that we've seen before. By the way, the Rey Mysterio Brock Lesnar is in our channel in the Survivor Series review. Mm-hmm. So please, if you guys rather see that, go ahead and watch the review. 2 charismatic guys ready to tell you everything that happened about that match. You can watch that video over there. The description will be down, so you can guys watch that. But I agree with John Paul. Not really good wrestling, I will say, but. I don't want to be so hard on them because the situations that are going on and everything. Yeah. But you're right. I stay with the promos.
I would rather.
Promos good.
I don't know why you just none of these matches made any sense. What, it was just a tag team match and then an Aleister Black squash match, correct?
And then Asuka with a Kaden Carter.
Oh yeah, which was pretty much another squash match.
Yes,
in my opinion, and it was if you there was no need for any of these matches. It should have just been promos. They showed the Rhea Ripley promo for a 3rd, 4th time. You know what I mean? Just fill the whole show up with promos. I don't care.
Yeah, because it would have been a much better than a promo by Asuka saying no one's ready for her. And on Friday, what just happened? She lost to Alexa Bliss, so Alexa Bliss was ready for her.
With a Twisted Bliss, did Nikki Cross interfere, or was it with the Jake the Snake DDT?
Yeah, Jay the Snake DDT, in the worst fashion possible, boom, done. Yeah. So I guess she's ready for her?
Yeah, she must be watching AEW or something. She got, excited. She had to shout out the Snake.
Yeah, but shout out to the Snake, So, at least what I gathered from this show, the main point for me, my favorite point, most likely the return of the American Badass.
Yeah, or at least a character that's in between. The American Badass is pretty much the closest you're going to get to Mark Calloway being in the wrestling ring. So I definitely feel like this is going to be, like pretty much like you said, the American Badass. Because to me, they were calling each other by their real names. He called them Alan. So how AJ was calling him Mark. So I feel like it is going to be the American Badass, but also maybe a little bit Dead Man, like you were saying, maybe a mixture of both, because it is a boneyard match, and it is, there is the little bit of the spooky aspects, you could
Yes.
say, into it.
Yes.
So, that's what I'm thinking is really cool. And just, that's how the show opened, and it was a legit promo that he cut.
Exactly. And like Jean Paul, like you said, on the SmackDown review, exactly what you said, that's what they did. It's not even a spoiler. The only thing that they did is they recorded a lot of finishes for all the matches. At least more than two. They tape more, like multiple finishers, so people don't know which one is gonna end up airing.
Oh,
Until
okay.
they did that. So it's not even a spoiler,
I do
family.
like that.
It's just they made sure that, like, no spoiler gets leaked. They just, they record multiple, so they, whatever they feel like, they're just gonna put there, and that's how it's gonna show is gonna come out. But the show opened with Undertaker, and then he starts like cutting the promo, and it's like really smoky room, and then he's wearing like a leather jacket and a bandana. So like you said, mixture of the Dead Man and American Badass, and then he calls AJ by like his real name, like Jean Paul said, Alan, and then he said he's either has a big set or he's all talk, but his mouth is writing checks that his ass cannot cash. Love that line. Absolutely, I'm loving it. I'm just like, whoop. Okay, I gotta pay attention to this. But he's heard a lot of words from a lot better. So he says that Styles said he would have been a little scared of him 15 years ago. And he's like, you should damn right be, because you were like a big fish on a small pond. And then he says over here, I was running with guys like The Rock, Stone Cold, Eddie Guerrero, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and then something that Jean Paul just brought up to me. So I'm gonna, give the place for him. Go ahead, Jean Paul. He mentions two names.
Yeah, he said.
And Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and when he said, Booker T and Kurt Angle, because, sometimes the WWE does catch me slipping and I miss the details. Other times, like I said, my mind is like a steel trap that gets in there, and I'm like, so you say AJ was a big fish in a little pond in TNA, and didn't say TNA, of course, but
Of course not.
big fish in a little pond. He's like, you couldn't hang with guys like me, and he lists all those names. But he says two guys who had a pretty good run. One of them, especially Kurt Angle in TNA. Kurt Angle himself says his best matches were in TNA. A lot of them against AJ Styles. So to me, I was like, he kind of opened his mouth and inserted his foot there a little bit. But you know how WWE is. They don't. To them, TNA doesn't even exist unless they're saying that it's a bullshit little pond. They're not going to acknowledge any of the great matches that took
But that's
place.
kind of like I can say about that, like you said, it's kind of dumb that you kind of go and say that, knowing that we all know that like the best work Kurt Angle was in TNA, and pretty much those matches made the AJ Styles and Kurt Angle the stars that they are now.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like they had their. That's why Kurt Angle, when he had his like retirement tour, you could call it. That's why one of the guys he wanted to wrestle, and I believe he did. It was on Raw or whatever, one of the shows.
It was
he did wrestle. He did wrestle AJ Styles, and I mean it was bullshit because that unfortunately Kurt Angle couldn't go. Not to get too off topic, but he said when he first came back to WWE, he said, "Let me wrestle my first year, be commissioner second, because my body won't be there. Like I need to do it now." And Vince McMahon was like, "Well, I want to do it where you're commissioner first." And he's like, "Well, then you're going to get what you're going to get." And that's what they got.
And that's what we got. Yeah, yep. Exactly right, Jean Paul. So Taker says that AJ will have to pay the ultimate price for disrespecting his wife. He says her. So and he's gonna pay that price in a boneyard match. And that was AJ's idea after all. So Styles wanted to be immortal at WrestleMania, and who better to do than The Undertaker? And he says, if you try me, I'll make you famous. So that's kind of like American Badass. So I see like those like glimpses of American Badass, and he hopes that AJ brings those two ass clowns, Gallows and Anderson, with him because he's bringing the unholy trinity with him. So just know he will feel the pain, he will get hurt, and he will suffer. And most importantly, he will rest in peace. So a pretty legit, promo by The Undertaker. He's not as great as like on the mic as like the others that he mentioned, before. But when he has to deliver this kind of promos, I completely am sold by it. And
yeah, I
like
definitely
the the thing behind it that said AJ Styles. We see the
Uh,
team, like, you know, and
yeah,
that was really cool.
yeah, the headstone. Yeah, I like them. I like when he cuts these kind of promos. Like I said, to me, the Undertaker is really good at like this was like a shoot style promo. Obviously, like you and I were saying, he probably has a lot of respect for AJ, everything he did. But here in this promo, he was making it like you would honestly believe that he hates AJ and feels these things. The way he said it was with real emotion, and it was really believable, and that's what makes a promo good, in my opinion. I think that this promo, like I said, is better than most that the Undertaker's cut is because sometimes when he goes into the ministry and all that stuff, he's like, the powers of darkness will consume you, and you're like, okay, like really, like you know, okay, like, or when he had the lightning bolts hit his hands and it was clearly the special effects and it looked bullshit. It's like, okay, really, but American Badass coming down on the motorcycle and just punching you square in the mouth, you know, there's nothing that is, you know, unbelievable about that. So that's why I think that you and I kind of like this promo a little more than usual from the Undertaker.
Oh yeah, like absolutely, like you said, like, I just like the authenticity. You know how like you listen, you believe every single word, and you know the line from me, like your mouth is be writing checks that you're asking not even cash or something like that.
Huh?
Legit, I love when when you give me something like that, everything else for me is just beauty. And like you said, I just remember old school Undertaker a little bit. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna bury you alive, and you know, I just remember the graveyard, and he's just like digging and
Yeah.
everything. So that's so it's just things like I just love that. So it was really cool, and hopefully we don't know yet what the Boneyard match is gonna be. The only thing I know, Jean Paul, and there's no spoiler, is just like because they interview AJ, they just said that like there's no referee. That's the only thing I know. And then they haven't mentioned any rules. He even goes, I don't even know what a Boneyard match is. I'm like, then why the hell you say that? You should at least know. But it seems
I
to me
feel
like
like I
it's gonna
feel
be
like somebody
buried
was
alive
like,
a little
well,
bit.
I mean, me, I feel that somebody was like Boneyard match. Vince McMahon heard this and he was like, that sounds legit. Let's do that. And they're
And he's
like,
like, what is it?
yeah, and they're like, okay, well, all we did was come up with the name. I don't care. We'll figure out the rest later. And they're like,
Yes.
okay,
Then let's go.
just like
Then.
just like Eric Rowan's cage. What's in the cage? Oh, a giant tarantula. And then Drew McIntyre crushes it and done.
And done. And you know, and we don't hear it. Aaron Rowan's not even on the card. There you go. He would have been in the Battle Royal and done. So
Yep.
nope. So now, Jean Paul, let's move to Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. She comes out in a truck, kind of Stone Cold wannabe, like I told you to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like that too much because again, you keep resembling Stone Cold for me, and that's not how you should present Becky. But that's at least my opinion. Then she comes on stage. She says that last year WrestleMania she fought two champions in one match, Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey, and then the stakes for her couldn't have been higher than that. She talked a lot of trash and attacked two of them women, and every time she could. And for the past year, she has walked the fine line. And then she just goes like, "Oh, let's check the match." So, like you said, we just gotta see like another hour of just that match.
She was
Really,
Becky was like Jean Paul, come on, now you can go to your bathroom break. You can you can make your
take
tea.
a nap.
Yeah,
take
you
a
can
nap.
take a
Go
nap.
pee,
Yep.
you know, whatever. Get the
Yep.
thumbnail ready. You know,
Yep.
things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then he goes, "Oh, we're back." He's like, "We're back with Becky Lynch." And then she goes, "Oh, it's the first time that I've seen that." I'm like, "Shut up." I'm like, "You're not selling me on that. I don't care." And then she says that she's being followed by a dope trying to make her own history. So she says that she thinks Shayna thinks she's different, and she said last week that she thinks taking the title will destroy her, and she's right. Everyone gets into the business because they have demons to slay, but don't think she doesn't know about Shayna's demons too. So then she's starting to get to her, but then Shayna is going in full emotion, and then she thinks she can slay the demon of Ronda Rousey's shadow. If she can beat Becky, then she'll win as the world-class athlete that she is, but if she loses, she goes right back into Ronda's shadow. So when she talks about one of them is being destroyed by the losing at WrestleMania, which is one of them. So I don't know what does she mean, but like I just feel that like she's kind of like saying that, yeah, if you beat me, then you're better than Ronda. If you don't, then you're just like, just Ronda's lucky. That's pretty much, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Shayna appears from the back, applies the Cura for a clutch, and then they kind of like, Becky's of course done, and then Shayna grabs Becky, and then she hits her around like the commentary team was.
Yeah, she slams her into the announce table. Yeah, like
And
swings her into the sides.
that was pretty much that segment. What do you think about it, Jean Paul? Are you
I mean,
excited about that match?
like I said, I mean my excitement really isn't going to go up or down depending what happens. The only way you could make my excitement changed if you and Teddy Long got your wish and it was like a triple threat or whatever. Like you do something crazy with it and it's like Ronda Rousey shows up. But I mean, obviously it's too late to book that. That should have been booked, at least a month ago. But now with all this coronavirus stuff, you're not going to do anything like that. You're just going to film these, get them over with, and move on.
What
But
did you say, Jean Paul? Corona
you
what?
just,
Because WWE don't mention this.
oh
Is that
yeah,
what it is for? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
beer.
Okay.
The beer, just put a lime in the bottle and you're legit.
Yeah.
But I mean, this match, I don't know, it'll be okay. The only thing I'm worried is like every day that we inch closer and closer, and I know that there's footage out there of it because, like we said, they filmed multiple endings. But I just feel that like Becky's gonna win this, and I'm like, Shayna's done.
I hope not, because like you said, like, this should be the beginning for Shayna Baszler as champion.
Yeah,
Becky doesn't need to hold to that
yeah,
championship
because
anymore.
the hardest thing to do is to book a babyface's title reign. It's easy to book a babyface chasing the title, and it's easy to book a heel as the title holder because you can just make them squash all the sympathetic baby faces, and then the heels get more heat, and that's what you want your heel to do. It's hard to have a champion babyface keep winning because Becky, I'm sure you'll agree, her chase from when she got punched in the nose to when she won the titles was legit. And then once you won them to now has been mediocre to boring to awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because
like,
also like it didn't start well.
no,
It started with Lacey Evans, Natalia, people that like did not make the rivalries special.
The only thing that was good was Sasha Banks, and then I think Sasha got hurt in that Hell in the Cell match, so then they couldn't even continue the feud, and it was done.
Yeah, I agree. Like it should have been Sasha winning that title.
Yeah,
but
so to me, I think like even though we always say if you follow the rules, Becky got beat down, so that means she's going to win on Saturday or Sunday, which is not the right decision, and I hope they go with Shayna, because if not, I mean, I still don't know what you do even if Shayna wins. Who's she going to feud with? If Charlotte Flair loses to Rhea Ripley, is Charlotte going to come and beat Shayna because she can say, I eliminated you at the Royal Rumble?
It could be.
And then that will be the feud, and then she'll just beat Shayna for the title, and it's like, could you imagine if she's the NXT title and the Raw title if she beats Rhea and Shayna?
Oh, that would be terrible. That your division will be absolute trash.
Vince would do it. There's no way. She's definitely losing to Rhea. That's 100% guaranteed because there's no way Triple H would be like, yeah, you can just take my women's title and put it on Monday Night Raw.
Yes, no, I agree to that.
And there's no way Charlotte Flair is going to be on NXT. So
yes, I agree to that. So hopefully Shayna is the one winning the Raw Women's Championship just because we want something different. And Shayna is the kind of girl, that kind of heel that can pull these things, off, being that strong, obnoxious, hateful, spiteful heel.
Yes, so, and not to go too off topic, but like we said, the whole division is messed up. The one thing if you would want to do is after the Kabuki Warriors lose, because like they're most likely going to lose. We'll go over this all in previews and predictions for WrestleMania. But when they lose, to me, then you got to split the Kabuki Warriors up, and you got to either turn them both face or do something, because I would love to see a main roster feud if you actually gave a crap about it between Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler, because they had great matches in NXT.
Oh, I will do Kairi Sane. I wouldn't,
I mean, we saw it on Monday Night Raw a couple weeks ago, and it was a bullshit match that got zero response from the crowd. But that's because you present Kairi like a loser.
Yeah, well, and also you got to turn them face again, and I think that like it will be better, and I wouldn't mind to see that again. But especially Kairi kind of like get the upper hand over Shayna. That wouldn't be bad. Yeah, why not? Because like you said, other than that, who are you gonna keep having this match like Becky and Shayna all over again? Or you know what? It should be the return of Ronda. And then you go like, oh, well, you're my best friend. We're going for this title now. So, yeah, that would be cool. But now, Jean-Paul, we're going to something that really didn't make sense. It lasted 2 seconds. Aleister Black going to another enhancement talent, Jason Cade. By the way, Aleister Black is going to be fighting the Almighty. And now I do believe he's the Almighty, because Jean-Paul sent me that in the morning. What did we know from the almighty Bobby Lashley?
That he actually contracted coronavirus, but Like, he took away Lana from Rusev's life. He took the coronavirus out of his body and
And
fucking spine busted it onto the mat, pinned it for the 1, 2, 3, and the Almighty. I mean, the dude is, a genetic freak. He's not Big Papa Pump, but he got it, and he got it through his body, and he was good to do his WrestleMania taping. So
yes, it's true. Absolutely true. Only for Rumble. Jean Paul and myself will always do our homework. He beat coronavirus, and like you said, he made it on time for the taping, and he actually record his match. So we will see him fighting Aleister Black. And most likely he'll lose one black mass and done, because that's what happened to Jason Cade. But at least Bobby Lashley can say I beat coronavirus, but I'm not able to beat Aleister Black. So
mhm.
that's all we can say about that. And then we get Selena Vega and Angel Garza. They're coming out because there's going to be a 3-on-3 match. It's going to be the Street Profits with Kevin Owens going to against supposedly Andrade and Garza and Seth Rollins. But then Selena comes out and she says Andrade is injured, rib injured, which is actually legit. It's true. But she says she went and got one of the hottest free agents in sport entertainment right now. Somebody that we've been actually saying that he's a good wrestler. We've been promoting him, not because we love him, but we think the guy is good. Somebody that lost to Mr. Beauty or
Prince Pretty,
Prince Pretty. There you go, Mr. Beauty. I came
Mister.
out with something different, but Prince Pretty, our good friend Tyler Breeze, Austin Theory, 22-year-old, and Jean Paul is saying, why the hell is he at WrestleMania?
Yeah, and I just have a few things to run down here quick. So one thing, why does what's your opinion on matches like this, where it's like, okay, so you have the two, the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Those two teams are going against each other literally the week before WrestleMania, or the week of WrestleMania. Kevin Owens is going against Seth Rollins technically the week before WrestleMania, and they're just taking these two WrestleMania matches, putting them together in one match and being like, here you go. You're essentially giving away those matches on free TV. Not that any of these matches are groundbreaking and we care, but I'm like, why do you need to give it away? You're making it less special than it already would have been. If
Oh yeah,
anything, you should just did Kevin Owens. It should have been this AOP and Murphy versus, I mean, even though we've probably seen that combination, but AOP and Murphy versus Kevin Owens and the Street Profits. You know what I mean? And Seth Rollins could have came out and still delivered. Spoiler. Skipping ahead in your notes here. Kevin Owens still could have ate the stomp from Seth Rollins after the match. But why do we need to see all these people to just see them again on Saturday or Sunday, pretty much doing the same thing? And it's like, okay, what was that match? Because that's just what we said in the beginning of the show. All these matches were pointless.
yeah.
And this was another one that was
What you
completely
mentioned
pointless.
is absolutely the truth. It's the lack of creativity. It's like, what do we do to fill this show with? Okay, let's put two matches that are unimportant, irrelevant. Let's put the tag champs and set Kevin Owens against Rollins and the number one contenders. That's all it is. Like you said, this is just wasting time, and you're giving a lot of the spots for free on TV. So do I care? No, especially now because
You know what would have been legit, and then we'll get through this match. I'm sorry, my brain just went off topic here. You
you're
could have
good.
filled this show. You could have filled this show with something like Alistair. Somebody could have came up in Alistair Black. Your match with the Almighty Bobby Lashley. They could have kind of went shoot here a little bit, with the Undertaker. He could have been like, I don't even know why I'm having this match against Bobby Lashley. I don't care who it is. Cut some cryptic Alistair Black promo, and because Bobby Lashley was, legit fighting, trying for his life, getting better. You could have had Lana come up and she could have been like, you don't talk about my Bobby like that, blah, 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 been really annoying and cringy, and he could have freaking kicked her with a black mask.
See, that would have been nice.
You know how legit that was? I mean, they never
That
will do that, intergender, fighting. But to me, how many times do you pop when, shit like that happened in ECW or, TNA or any of these other promotions when they freaking knock somebody out who's annoying like that? I mean, it would have been huge. It would have been, everybody would have loved it to see Lana eat a black mask.
It
Do
would have
something
been
like that to add it, because then that adds a little more fuel to the fire for this match instead of us going in completely cold. They took this out of the freezer and was like, here you go, and it's ice cold. Nobody cares about it.
absolutely it's they know how to kill the expectations of people. They know how to kill your mojo. They your momentum. You're excited about something, and they know how to kill it. Like they turned that switch off. They turned that light off. Like quick, boom. He's like, and yeah, this match did it for me because I'm not interested anymore. I don't care. I don't care. Like you're right. Like I would much rather see things like you just mentioned, just because it's different, and different is important in wrestling. You need to come up with different stuff all the time, not just same predictable things. And this is what happened in this match. But we're gonna go with some of the final sequences of the match. So Cannonball to Garza in the corner, followed by a Swanton Bomb by Theory. Legit Swanton Bomb. This kid has a great future. Hopefully he makes the most of this WrestleMania appearance. Like thanks to Andrade, because how do you feel if like you're seeing Almas and like for the second year in a row you're just like in a bad spot. You have Charlotte as your woman. That's all. That's your highlight of your WWE.
Well, I mean, the only thing I'll say is he needs to start drinking his milk. I know it might be hard to get the milk, from Charlotte with the plastic enhancements. I don't know how good the milk flows, but that's the one thing. It's like, don't be so injury prone. I'm not trying to sound like a dick, sound like a heel, but it's not anybody's fault but his own that he gets injured. I doubt it's his opponents that are injuring him. To me, there's Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. If he was hurt in that match where they beat the shit out of Ricochet and Alexander, I don't know how they would have hurt him. He would have been him hurting himself. So, he just got to be more careful in the ring.
I agree. And like if he wants to be a world champion or anything that you said, he needs to stop being injury prone. I know it's a lot of misfortune, but you need to like strengthen yourself. Become a lot stronger than what you are. So moving along, like I said, Swanton Bomb formed by like Theory, and then he breaks a pinfall attempt. Then Montez runs into with an enziguri to Theory, and then he hits a tope to Theory on the floor, and then Theory wasn't really in the right spot. Did you like that?
I wanted to ask you about that. Montez Ford was like hyped up on like cocaine and sugar and everything. Yeah. When he hit that tope, he was like launched out of a freaking cannon. And he didn't even hit Theory. He like jumped, and it was supposed to be like his feet would come down and hit Theory.
Yes.
Well, I think Theory had to move his head so like the side of Ford's foot barely grazed him, and Ford hit ass tailbone back as hard as he could right on the freaking ramp.
Exactly.
Like he did not hit. He did not hit.
Did you see Selena's reaction?
Yeah, she was like, "Oh shit!" Like. I was laughing because they showed the replay like 3 times, and I'm like, "This dude."
And Paul, like the sound of that, it was
like,
boom.
Yeah, that's what I said. He was like 90 miles an hour through the air, and I was like, "Oh my god, he did not even touch him."
Completely botched.
Yeah,
completely botched. Right? Botchmania. We watch sometimes those videos. Right there is a great spot for you, Botchmania.
Remember when I showed you that video of Montez Ford's kids watching him when they won the tag title?
Yeah. When like
I wonder if his kids were watching him tonight, and they were like, "That is bullshit." They're like, "What the?
Is Daddy hurt?" It's like because that was he could have got injury. He could have got injured like so easily from that. But thankfully, I don't think he did because we haven't received any reports on that matter. So at least. Hey, Austin, next time kind of move a little bit closer or like practice that spot because like we don't want any of them injured for for that matter. So like I said, he did that and then Ford basically landed on the flush on the ramp and then Owens catches Garza with the stunner for the win and they the Street Profits Kevin Owens win, but then right away Seth Rollins does the stomp. Completely does the stomp, so like Kevin Owens is done, is laying on the floor, and then we go to commercial break and then he actually cuts a really good promo. Kevin Owens by himself.
And I just want to say it's good to see that when Seth Rollins turned heel, he got like hit, like the stomp became legit again. Not like when he was with a face and the stomp, it took like 15 stomps to take down one guy.
Yes.
And now his stomp is legit again, so that's good for Seth Rollins.
It is, and you're right. So Kevin Owens is, like I said, is in the ring, and he's saying that he kicked some sense into him because he's been thinking a lot about what Rollins said last week, and he has a lot to say too. So he says last Monday, said walk around the Performance Center, said the building was built by him, and that everyone that came through, it had to be thankful to Seth Rollins. But he's heard otherwise. He's heard the PC was built in spite of Seth Rollins. From the moment he stepped a foot in the warehouse in Tampa, he was a nightmare to deal with. He thought he knew everything and thought he was better than everyone else. And then the past month, Seth has done a tremendous job improving all those people, right? When they call him as an arrogant dipshit. Dip doop. So deep shit for the ones that like want me to say it. I said it.
Yeah,
He's
he
aware of his
actually
own
said
bad.
it on. He actually said it on TV. They didn't bleep it. They only bleeped out when Heyman said "God damn."
Yeah, or I think he said fuck.
No, no, no,
It
no.
wasn't. It
No.
wasn't. Doop. Okay, all right.
Well, no,
So
yeah, because they been. Yeah, it was. He said like, yeah, he said "God damn it," I think, and so
okay,
they bleeped it out because it's like the Lord's name in vain kind of deal.
okay, I got you. So he said he's aware of his own past and the choices he's made, but he's not delusional like Seth is. Last week, Seth proved him right and talked about his big WrestleMania moments and referred to himself as a god and Owens as a failure. He says those worlds stung and stay with him, but he knows his Squeak Rollins views are how squeak the views are. He has all the he has all the same accolades that Seth. He says he's been a Universal Champion, he's been Intercontinental Champion, United States Champion 3 times, and he's man enough to admit that he's never won any of them without someone standing by his side, watching his back, and so did Seth. So he keeps saying like Rollins has always had a backup for he's always has a backup and found some people to help him along the way to get these WrestleMania moments. And then the only thing he said last week only made sense because when you get to WWE, nothing you did before it matters. So he's saying like pretty much the WWE are the big leagues, and that's why we gotta we gotta remember how good we are. But pretty much Owens is saying, hey, I'm as good as you are. Nothing that you ever done, I have not done. So
Yeah,
yeah, and that it will be so true come to this Saturday because neither of their past will matter. The only thing that will matter it is the two of them one on one, and he will prove to Seth that he's not a prophet, he's not a messiah, he's not even God. When he beats him and make his own WrestleMania moment this Saturday, he will be the one to burn it down.
yeah,
I mean,
and Kevin Owens did say this Saturday twice in that promo, so then we have at least one match kind of guaranteed to know which night we'll see it. I
yes,
believe that's one of the only matches that they did say a night. They instead of just saying at WrestleMania, he did
yes.
specifically say Saturday. So
Yes, absolutely right. And I mean, legit promo. The one thing I don't know if you caught on to that, like you can see the white hairs on Kevin Owens' like beard and everything. So like, I was like, okay, he's like, is he like done? But other than that, like Kevin Owens to me, I was never a big fan of his. But I think that like as a heel, as a performer itself, he's been able to be a good baby
mhm.
face, legit
Oh
heel, and
yeah,
he's a good
yeah.
wrestler.
To me, yeah, like I mean, if you look at Kevin Owens, you're like, oh, okay, this guy looks like he just likes to drink beer and play video games and eat burgers and hot dogs. But in the ring, he's legit. He can do all these moves: sharpshooter, super kick, swanton, cannonball. Pop up power bomb. All his moveset is extremely legit. He's extremely talented. He's good on the mic as a heel or a baby face. But to me, when I see Kevin Owens, I just think of like that heel run when he was the NXT champ and he's feuding with John Cena. That to me is Kevin Owens, where he would stab his parents in the back just to get a win over somebody. So like that's the Kevin Owens that I like. The babyface to me, there's so many other people on the roster who you should be pushing as your babyface. Because to me, like they're pushing Kevin Owens as the number one babyface, but they're also doing now with Drew McIntyre. Because it's
Yes,
like, shouldn't Kevin Owens be going after the championship if he's your number one guy? But you're feuding him with. That's what I mean. It's like a weird spot that he's in. Because again, he's not going after any title. He's not in any title picture. He's not. He's not in the mid card. Championship
oh
run.
yeah.
He's not in the tag team championship. He's not. For the main title. So he's kind of just lost in the shuffle again, where he's just been the past how many years.
Unless like McIntyre wins it and then he turns heel, and then we see the Kevin Owens that you're saying.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I would
that
just
would be the only way.
yeah. I mean, if he turns heel, I don't know. Like if Kevin Owens turns heel, you mean I don't know how you would do that. That would make sense because I know WWE will do stuff that doesn't make sense just because they feel like it. But I'd rather have them do it that it makes sense. So I don't know if maybe you have Seth Rollins beat him and then he's like, hey, he joins up with Rollins and then I don't know, maybe he beats up Rollins and then he takes over that stable. I don't know how you do it, what you do, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
like or like the
like
same
Kevin
thing
Owens
you're
is just,
saying.
yeah,
It
he's
might be
just,
Rollins. It might be
yeah,
Rollins going after McIntyre, which just sucks. But like, I would
yeah,
much rather see Owens and McIntyre I will much rather see that. You're right. Hopefully they do something interesting for both of them. But we will go over previews and predictions, all like what we think about. But like you brought an interesting point. What do we do with Owens if McIntyre becomes the champion?
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I
what do
mean.
we do
It's
with?
like,
Yeah, because I will also be interested in seeing Kevin Owens against Brock Lesnar. See, that would be
you
something
you
different.
could have did that when they were both on SmackDown.
Yeah,
He beats Kofi, and well, Kevin Owens is still on SmackDown. When they
yeah,
debuted, that would have been my feud. Boom, he beats Kofi, Kevin Owens, and Brock Lesnar, and you run that thing for how long? And then it's like, oh, so the contract, Shane McMahon's fired or he's done or whatever the hell they did. And then Kevin Owens is just on Raw now, and Lesnar's on Raw, and then it's like, okay, you could still do that, but then they were like, oh, we got McIntyre, and we got because the way that they made it sound was a lot of people said it was Drew McIntyre. I mean, obviously Roman Reigns' name's always there, but to win the Rumble, or at least on the Raw side, it was McIntyre, and then the next guy was Aleister Black. So Kevin Owens wasn't even an option to go
no,
against Lesnar.
no,
It was
doesn't.
Aleister Black was a second choice to Drew McIntyre. So it's like you see in the order. So what I'm saying is, even if Drew McIntyre wasn't there, is Kevin Owens still isn't the main guy. The main guy that would have been Aleister Black.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what I mean. It's a shame
He
for
was
Kevin
never an
Owens.
option.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we go now to the next, like the one of say the best rivalry in this build-up for WrestleMania is Edge. He's in a dark room. He says that Randy. He's talking about Randy or right away. We don't even get like, oh, is Edge right here? We just see him in the dark room. He's gonna address Randy Orton the last time before we get the match, and he says that Randy claimed he was a junkie for Edge. Well, he's probably right, but it's not an ego thing. He loves the feeling when his music hits, that connection, the intensity he shares with the fans because he's the one. He says that they're all junkies for wrestling. At 13, when he saw Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the WrestleMania 6, he knew this was the path. If you're not a junkie, you're taking up space and you're in his way. So Edge is saying that Randy talk about grit, but they have different definitions of grit. And Edge says that Orton was handpicked by evolution and drifted for years, deciding when to turn it on and being okay, and with being okay and not being okay, and then being okay one more time. So don't get him wrong. Okay for Orton is better than most, and I will say that. When Orton is just regular, he's a great wrestler. But
and
we know how
yeah,
good he can be.
I was just gonna say that, like, people like JBL is the one who always said it. If you would build a wrestler, from the ground up, you look at Randy Orton. That's who you say, yeah, he's a pro wrestler. Like, he's tall. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", maybe
Yeah.
even 6'5". Randy Orton's tall. He's muscular. He's got the look. He has the physique, the muscle definition, everything like that. But like you said, a lot of Randy Orton's career is kind of boring. Especially, like you said, the past 10, 15 years has just been boring. And it's been okay. And it's like, is that, people say, oh, that's Randy Orton's style. But it's like, when you see him turn it on, he can go. So it's like Edge said, Randy Orton felt okay with being okay.
Yeah.
Randy Orton he didn't feel the need to be spectacular and great like Edge does because he didn't have the same passion that Edge does.
Yes, absolutely. That was pretty much what he's saying. So then he's also like he's saying that he's thinking about how to get back every day for 9 years and end it on your own terms. That's what like Edge is saying. He was mistaken though. He said Orton was jealous of him, but that's not the truth. Orton is jealous of his passion, and then you can fabricate passion, and Edge has it. But Orton doesn't. So the only time that Orton has had the passion was when they were intertwined. Pretty much when Rated RKO was going on, and they were fighting every night. Those were the only times Randy was pushed to his limit and forced to find his passion, and that's what he wants again. He said Orton attacked him and made him think that he was done, made him think that he's gotten closure and didn't need it to do it one more time, but then Orton attacked his wife. And then he uttered the names of his children, and now Orton has accepted the challenge of a man who dove through a fiery table and covered himself in thumbtacks, just to grab the torch that Orton took for granted. Orton has dug himself into a hole once again, but this time he won't pull him out. He's going to push him so far down, he'll never get out. So that's what the Rated R Superstar is saying. Legit promo. like Edge is really good. Like I will say, like the acting classes that he has, all these movies that he's done, he knows when to turn it on, and I really like
Mhm.
this, this version
Yeah,
of Edge.
I was thinking that too. Like you said with the acting, he like when he does the thing, he gets real fired up, and then he'll stop, and he kind of looked away, and he like he was like pulling his hair back, like trying to calm himself down, like let me not freak out, and let me be legit. And then he thinks about his wife and his kids, and he starts freaking out again. He really played it off good, like you said, an actor. He wasn't just like an old promo from the '80s where they just yell for 3 minutes straight without taking a breath,
And Mean Gene
and
is
then
like,
yeah. Yeah, it was like a really legit promo. It had real emotion to it. A lot of these tonight had real emotion. Like you said, Becky Lynch's was okay. Shayna, when she came in, it was okay. But like Undertaker's felt real. Kevin Owens felt real. This felt real. Those three were all home runs, I think. So.
absolutely. Let's see, like again, Edge, like you just, I couldn't say that any better. That's how you cut a promo.
Mm,
That's how you convince me that you wanna like destroy the person you're gonna be facing at the grand stage of the mall, and that's supposed to be WrestleMania. That's how you cut
yeah.
a promo. And
Yeah,
now,
I mean those. Yeah, and like those three matches, you could argue, besides the main event, the Lesnar and McIntyre, could have been the best three matches of the whole show.
yeah,
The only reason I don't think the Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins will be that great is because we've seen these guys literally tangle up every single week for the past 3 months. So it's like, what's a singles match? To me, that's not special. Yeah, maybe it's the first time he's getting him one on one in a singles match, but 9 times out of 10, the AOP are probably going to run down. Buddy Murphy's probably going to run down. There's going to be some kind of bullshit, so it won't even be a legit one-on-one.
yeah, like I agree with you. Like the many,
Because
because we've seen this thing so many
to
times.
me,
This lost actually
if
the special
yeah,
factor on it.
if WWE wouldn't have screwed themselves, but lo and behold, they screw themselves all the time. They love it. If you wouldn't have made WrestleMania its own, or excuse me, Hell in the Cell its own pay-per-view, you could have had this match be a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would have had this be a Hell in a Cell. I would have booked it better the past couple months and then made it a Hell in a Cell because it's like, then it's just you, me, no AOP, no Murphy, no Street Profits, no Aleister Black, no
No
Ray.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, just, you, me, Hell in a Cell, blah, 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 we'll prove who the better man is. And then that's how you do it.
Oh yeah, and that's what it would have been. But at least this Landsman standing is going to confirm how Edge is back. He's ready to
Mm-hmm.
go. I'm looking forward to see Edge having a one-on-one match. It's been 9 years, like he's been saying it. So the promo and again, Randy Orton going at his top. This is going to be really good, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, like we get to enjoy this. Like you said, they film multiple
Yeah.
endings, but in this case, we know the ending. Edge
Yeah,
has to
and
win it.
yeah,
Edge just has
yeah,
to win.
and I can't. Yeah, and I have a lot of theories, and I really can't wait to talk about this match. But I'm going to save it for the WrestleMania previews and predictions. I don't want to give too much away here because I got to watch our preview videos. So.
But now that you mentioned this, for example, also like Edge could be a potential number one contender for McIntyre. Maybe things like that. We can or like Edge against Brock Lesnar. It will be things like that can happen. So yeah, the
Yeah, I mean,
personal prediction is gonna be
I wouldn't
it's
want to
gonna be
see that
legit.
because I wouldn't want to see that just because one German suplex and done, like
And that
legit done, like
and that
legit done for Edge. So maybe
and
not
that.
Brock Lesnar, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're right. You'll have to change the whole moveset. But then, Jean Paul, we get Asuka going against Kaden Carter. Like something that like we mentioned a little bit in the beginning, and we get confirmation. The Kabuki Warriors are going to be defending the tag team championships against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. And then we get like a promo by Asuka, and we get Asuka talking in Japanese. That's legit. And then all she said is like, "Oh, Nikki, Alexa." No one's ready for Asuka, but then that brought me back to Friday, and then the win and all of that. Asuka pretty much a really quick match. Karen Carter is really good wrestler, but I guess they brought her to job because
Yeah.
she's not known by
Yeah,
like the
and
people that
also
watch the main roster.
because they probably were like after SmackDown, they probably saw a bunch of people online, and just they don't even need to see the fan backlash. They could just tell what happened in the ring. They're probably like, man, we made Asuka look like bullshit, so we got to kind of make her look a little bit more legit. But it's to me, it's too late. Like it don't matter who she beats in 5-10 seconds. You made her look like a loser on the main roster ever since, for like what was that? Last year TLC
Yeah,
or whatever that was. She
yeah,
had the legit match. She became the SmackDown Women's Champion, or Extreme Rules TLC was one of the two, and it was like, oh, okay, that's legit. and then what, she loses to Charlotte Flair immediately, and then Charlotte's the SmackDown champion going into
Yeah, she's
Mania.
been
To
dead
me,
ever
yeah,
since.
ever
She's
since
been
then
dead.
she's been done.
And
So
that's that, and you haven't found a contender like is gonna be good enough to make her go back to life. And the one that it should have been Becky Lynch, but she had to job out for her into the Royal Rumble. So pretty much she chokes Kaden Carter with the Asuka lock and done.
mhm.
So pretty much that
Yeah,
was the only thing, and pretty much we go to the last segment of the show, and that was Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Like we always pretty much we always see Paul Heyman is the mouthpiece. Brock Lesnar is just
mhm.
standing there, and you mentioned this like there was a big altercation, and it's not even a spoiler one more time, but like Brock Lesnar was really upset how Vince carry on with WrestleMania. He pretty much called him like he's full of just greed. He just wants to wants money. He doesn't care about compromising the well-being of the superstars. He doesn't care about the whole staff, crew, everybody involved in the WWE. He only cares about him. And the thing is, like, he wanted to record his match with McIntyre and leave, but the crew had already like a schedule. And he said, "Bro, like, no, you're like in mid show. I don't know, but he said, you gotta wait for your turn." And he's like, "Wait for my turn." So he blasts this to Vince's office, and he's like, "I want my match right now, and if not, done." So there was a lot of I guess they went at it for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, like Lesnar, what did he have? What was that disease or condition he had? That he did the surgery.
Diverticulitis. What is it?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, look up what he had if you're unsure. Real break family, but he is a person who is at high risk. Like we said with Roman Reigns, there's a couple people on the roster who are high risk, and that's why Lesnar was so concerned, not just for himself, but like we also said, for the safety of everybody else. Because it's like, a bunch of people were sick. The Miz and all that we reported were sick. We saw rumors that Edge, Asuka, all these other people who that turned out not to be true. But that's why we always say when we report something, trust us, but also take it with a grain of salt because sometimes people say things that aren't true.
exactly.
And yeah,
Yeah,
so but that's the thing. It's like all these people were at risk. But like Lesnar said, that's just the greed of one man, and unfortunately, it's the man who runs the show.
exactly. And then pretty much like Jean Paul is saying, like when we were talking outside of the show, is like the main concern is like we don't want to be the carriers that like have the disease and keep spreading it out.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to isolate the disease, and that's what like they're not doing. And and confirm though, like we mentioned, Bobby Lashley, Carmella. Carmella
Mm-hmm.
has, and supposedly she's the one that is suffering the most, and Corey Graves. Those three, they have it, but thankfully,
Which makes sense why he's not on SmackDown.
on
Because
SmackDown.
I was thinking, I'm like, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not a fan of his. I mean, I like him more than Michael Cole. But, I was enjoying, like, 2 weeks ago or whatever that was when they had Triple H on. So I really didn't question it. I thought they did it just to be like, hey, Corey, just take the week off. We'll put Triple H on so he can give this, opening statement. And then last week when we just saw I think it was just Michael Cole, correct?
Yes, yep.
Last week, and then it was like I didn't really think, oh, where's Corey Graves? But then now that he's sick, I hope that him and Carmella, I hope that they can get through this because even though, like I say, Corey Graves is annoying and he's an asshole, you don't want to see anything happen to him.
Exactly. We might not like what they do, in the ring. We might not like their performances, but in the end of the day, we don't want, anybody to die from this. This is a whole pandemic that is affecting the whole entire globe. And, we want a speedy recovery for both of them, especially Carmella, because we know from sources that she's the one that has been suffering the most out of all of this. So again, Paul Heyman, like I said, and Brock Lesnar are in the ring. And then Paul Heyman is saying that this WrestleMania is too big for one night, so that's why they have to have it in 2 nights. And it's the final WWE Raw before the most unique WrestleMania of a lifetime. And that's why they have to have it Brock Lesnar and him in the go home show and in the home segment, in the main event segment, or whatever. If you look at the history of WWE television, who stands in the go home segment each year? And it's Brock Lesnar. So he said, every year Brock Lesnar is the beast to conquer on the biggest show of the year. This year's McIntyre has really and truly stepped it up, and he gives his compliments. But why? Because Drew McIntyre is that special. Compared to the dumbass in the gym who thinks that he can do this, Drew is special. Even compared to everyone in that locker room, which, let's be honest, He's the most incredible locker room in the WWE history. BS. Freaking bullshit. That's when I'm like, okay, it's
No,
not the famous.
okay, tell me talent-wise, which roster was better? The only thing I will maybe give you an argument would be like Ruthless Aggression when you had like Lesnar, Cena, Angle, Shawn
I can
Michaels.
mention a lot of. If
That
you
would be
think
it.
about
But
it,
Attitude Era, no.
for example, though, like for example, 08 was legit. If you think
Who?
about it, 08, like yeah, but the whole roster was pretty decent. You had Jericho, you had Edge, you had Undertaker, you had Matt Hardy, you had Jeff Hardy, you had CM Punk, you had Triple H, you had Shawn Michaels, you have Cena. See, you have Orton. And dude, it's just like
Yeah.
don't go and say that. I mean, the women, yeah. If you count the women, then no.
I mean, I
But
would say, but then we got guys now like Rollins, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Andrade, Angel Garza, the Street Profits, Kevin
in ring
Owens,
skill, better.
McIntyre,
In
AJ
ring skill,
Styles.
better.
So that's what I mean. And to
If
me,
he's
but
saying
like,
that, if based on ring skill, yeah. Based on charisma, hell no.
no,
Like
but I don't blame them for the charisma.
oh yeah,
If you put a camera there, if all you had was a camera crew and somebody booked the matches, said this team versus that team, this guy versus that guy, and you cut the promos, you do everything else, the charisma would be way through the roof. They're being
oh yeah,
held down. So
tame. They're all tamed down. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So he says, you know who else was special, Jean Paul? You know who else was special? The Rock, who was laid out by Brock Lesnar on SummerSlam when he won his first WWE Championship. The Immortal Hulk Hogan was special too, but Brock Lesnar wiped his blood on his chest. You know who else was special, Jean Paul? Shane Corbin and Randy Couture, John Cena, The Undertaker. They were all special, but they were all laid out by Brock Lesnar, and he made them his bitches. Drew McIntyre is so special and needs no embellishment. His Claymore kick is special, but so was The Undertaker's tombstone, so was the People's Elbow, the Rock Bottom, the leg drop. That when he said that, I'm like, that's a bullshit move. That's never special. And then he says,
it was for Hogan. Big boot, leg drop, and done.
Might as well, Mr. We were talking about my favorite of all time, Macho Man Randy Savage. Might as well the elbow, right? Just saying. And Cena's F5. None of the not F5, the FU, or the Attitude Adjustment, and none of those could get the job done. Heyman says that one of two things will happen at WrestleMania: Brock Lesnar will either avoid the Claymore kick, or he will get hit by it, and then we'll see if it's enough. But you know what? Heyman has something more than a prediction and more than a spoiler, but a guarantee. Brock Lesnar will be standing here in the Go Home segment of Raw next year, and Heyman will add Drew McIntyre's name to the list of victims. McIntyre was into WrestleMania special this year, but he walked out as Brock's bitch. And that's how the show
And
was.
then the show almost immediately went off the air.
Like that, that's how we're going to do it too. Bye.
Yep.
Not even that. Like, yeah.
But I was, like to me, this was also a very good promo. I like when Paul Heyman's more serious like this and everything. Like, come on, ripping off the hat. That's how serious he is. But I thought this was good, and I liked the line that he said. Who is in the Go Home show every year? It's not a different guy. It's not Cena. Then it's not Undertaker. It's not AJ. It's not Seth. It's not Roman. It's always him and Lesnar. Because who does Vince always have to depend on? Like we said, Kofi Mania was running wild. They go to SmackDown. So we gotta give the belt to Brock.
That's true.
The past how many years? So we gotta get Roman over. We gotta give the belt to Brock. Brock comes back in, what was it, 2014?
Yes. Well, no, wait, 2000 and when he came, 2012. That's when he came back.
Well, so it's like, so we gotta give the belt to Brock. It's just like you just gotta give the belt to him, and he's one of those guys who doesn't need a belt.
No,
he's one of them who he's so special. You book him the same amount, 10, 12, 15 max appearances a year. Make him special. He doesn't need a belt. You can put it on him when the story calls for it. But not every single time that ratings start to tank, you go, so let's put the belt on him. And that's what Vince does every year. So Heyman's not wrong. And when he said, "Yep, it'll be us next year," I was laughing because I'm like, I don't doubt it. It might not be. It might not be on Monday Night Raw. It might be on SmackDown, but I don't doubt it.
It's just
That's how bullshit this
it's
company
pretty
is.
much like the problem that they had is like they can never build any new wrestlers. For example, like Lesnar doesn't need to be in the main event all the time.
And see, that's where I'm going to call you out. And I know it's not you, but I'm going to call you out when you say you can't build wrestlers. Why couldn't Rey Mysterio have beaten Lesnar at Survivor Series, and then you do Rey Mysterio versus Andrade for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania?
I wouldn't care. I wouldn't love that.
Why couldn't Ricochet have beaten Lesnar at Super Showdown, and then Ricochet versus McIntyre? You know, maybe you turn Ricochet heel after he beats Lesnar, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm so legit. I'm the best thing ever. Blah blah blah. I'm the one, the only Ricochet." You know, whatever. Because they don't want anyone else to get over. That's the thing. True. It's not the wrestlers. It's not like they come out and they're like, "Well, I could be the next best thing, but I'm going to be like a moron and act like an idiot on Raw so everybody thinks I'm cringy." No, they do that because that's what Vince and the writers tell them to do.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I pretty much agree.
You think Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows want to come out Raw every week and say we're the best tag team in the world, and then they freaking lose like idiots to Drew McIntyre in a 2-on-1 handicap match?
No.
Do you think they want to come out there and get their ass beat by the Undertaker and look like idiots?
Oh yeah, that's even worse.
What did he call them? He called them ass clowns or something like that?
Yeah, ass clowns.
So it's like, what, like, yeah, do you think that's what they want? But then they're also the best tag team in the world. When they were in New Japan, you know, they were one of the hottest tag teams. They were one of the best in the entire world. Now look at them. Losers. They don't want that. It's what the company wants for them.
That's the WWE effect.
Yeah, I never blame the wrestlers for not getting over. That's not their fault.
No, I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not saying blaming. I'm just saying, like, you know, it just sucks that, like, they have to rely on the same guy all the time. So, you know, like you said, you're not wrong for saying it. And Heyman is not saying anything about the truth.
To me, I agree with you. The way I'm gonna say it is, it sucks that Vince McMahon is still the last person who makes the final decision.
Yeah, because I feel, for example, like Triple H will like change things around. He will push different people. I'm not saying it's gonna be from like night and day, but I'm just saying it will be a little better.
I wish you could have had who was that? Who was running SmackDown when it was legit with Ambrose? And
well, no, that was pretty much they said it was Shane at that time. You know, it was Shane McMahon. It was Road Dogg that was actually writing it.
Yeah, no, but it was somebody else, and then he moved to NXT. Then I think it was a writer.
That I'm not completely sure.
I forget what his name was, but yeah, he was like
Freddie Prinze was actually one of them.
Yeah,
Freddie Prinze, Road Dogg, and somebody else. Yes.
Yeah, so I would like. That's what you got to do. You got to get Shane McMahon and get Shane McMahon needs to handle SmackDown, write all the stories, work with the wrestlers, and write the story. And then on Monday Night Raw, you can have, you know, maybe Triple H a little bit. Just have Paul Heyman do it.
Yeah.
But, like, Vince needs to be out of it. No control. The only thing he needs to do is just count the money each and every week. And that's
just be the accountant. Yeah, be an accountant. Yeah. And I agree. I mean, this was the go-home show. Are we excited about WrestleMania? A lot of things. For example, Undertaker is exciting. Edge is exciting. Like you said, all those three. Even though Owens and Rollins, not too much, but a little bit. McIntyre and Lesnar, that's exciting. We know that Goldberg is going to be facing Braun Strowman. Not exciting whatsoever. That's me. Like, take that title, put it on, like you said, put it on like a Mysterio.
We can save that for Friday. We need some fuel for Friday.
Oh yeah, we will save that. But like you're absolutely right. And again, it was decent for what it was. I will say, like, see, without the promos that you mentioned, it would have sucked. It would have been a terrible go home show. But knowing how messy this whole WrestleMania season has been, for so many factors, we cannot just blame the virus itself. But Vince's like stubbornness when it comes to like continue with a show that should have not continued, and all of those things have like pretty much tarnished the whole WrestleMania season.
And I just have one question, also with the whole, like we said, with the virus, everything going on. Is Crown Jewel or Super Showdown or whatever the hell it is that going to happen next month? Are they flying to Saudi Arabia? Are they going to have Extreme Rules in June or whatever that is, or in May? Whatever paper, you know what I'm. What are they going to do? To me, you almost got to, like, after Mania, be like, hey, I know we pushed it. I know it was bullshit, but after Mania, you
Kind of
know,
have a little bit of an off season, but we'll see. Like as of now, we don't have any reports on that. Once we find out, we'll of course we'll let you know. We'll let everybody in the community of our Robrick family know. But as of now, pretty much everything probably from the performance center. Although the performance center is closed too, so we don't know what's gonna happen. We just don't know. We're in complete unknown. So Robrick family, this concludes our review for like this. I will say, up and down. Go home show for WrestleMania, like Jean Paul was saying, we'll be back Wednesday for NXT and also AEW legit shows. They were pumping up like 3 times. I saw Keith Lee with Dijakovic, so and Damian Priest, so that's gonna be great. And of course, we will do the previews and predictions for WrestleMania. We know, like Jean Paul was saying, one match at least is gonna be on Saturday. So it's going to be exciting to see both nights. We'll be out for both nights like always. And Jean Paul, any closing thoughts before we go?
no, I'm ready to get WrestleMania done with, and then hopefully WWE they can move on to more pressing matters like keeping all their superstars safe. But like we always say, the wrestling world never stops, and neither do we. So
That's what we do, family. So thank you so very much for watching. Thank you to the new subscribers, old subscribers, everybody that is checking us out. Thank you so very much for that. Thank you for believing in us. And in the name of Jean Paul and myself, we want to say.